now 61 years old, was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Our next case is the case of Sylvia May Quayle. On August 4th, 1981, William Quayle went to visit his daughter in Cherry Hills Village near Denver, Colorado. She lived just 150 feet from his home. What he discovered was something no parent should ever have to witness. According to her friends, 34-year-old Sylvia May Quayle was ambitious, vibrant, friendly, and lit up the room when she walked in. She loved history and worked as a secretary at an architectural firm. An excellent cook, she also opened up her own business specializing in wedding cakes. Quayle had a lot of friends and was an avid artist. She loved to create pottery, many of which her sister still has in her home 3 decades later. She was extremely close to her family, especially her parents, who lived just 150 feet away from her home and had coffee with them every morning. Until that morning. Just before 8 a.m. on August 4th, 1981, officers were dispatched to Sylvia's house after her father found her lifeless body and called 911. Sylvia Quayle had spoken to her sister on the phone the previous night, around 11 p.m, so investigators knew she'd been killed between the time she hung up the phone that night and when her father got to the house 9 hours later. Her father told the officers he'd arrived to find his daughter lying naked on the living room floor. Investigation revealed that she'd been shot, stabbed multiple times, strangled, assaulted. The autopsy confirmed the loss of blood was ultimately the cause of death. Investigators found 2 important clues at the crime scene. The telephone line in the living room and outside the house had been cut, and the bathroom window screen had been removed and tossed into some tall weeds. About 140 more pieces of evidence were collected from the scene, and over time, a variety of technological advances were used on the items as investigators tried to solve the crime. In 1983, 2 years after her death, forensic technicians using an alternate light source found DNA material not from Sylvia in the rug where her body was found laying. The same year brought hope for investigators and the Quayle family after notorious serial killer Otis Elwood Toole confessed to have taken Sylvia's life. Many of Toole's confessions were later known to be false, along those of his companion, Henry Lee Lucas. Lucas, who died in a Texas prison in 2001, claimed hundreds of victims. However, authorities were only able to confirm a handful. In 1993, the charges against Toole and Sylvia's death were dropped. At the time, DNA testing on evidence in the case had proven that Toole was not the source of the DNA found at the crime scene 12 years earlier. In 1995, a section of the rug was cut out and submitted to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation to be tested. 5 years later, the sample provided authorities with an unknown male DNA profile. However, no match was found and the case went cold. In January 2020, Cherry Hills Village cold case detectives and investigators decided to use the recent technology of genetic genealogy in Sylvia's case. 4 months later, a name surfaced: David Dwayne